Hi all, it's Karen and
Pluto!
we're back with another movie review on another review channel.
I love this movie. It's one of my favorites. Can't wait to talk about it.
Now, I actually like this movie, but to give you guys a little bit of
No,
background.
you didn't.
That's what I'm giving the background.
Oh, okay, I'll be quiet.
Initially, I was not a horror movie fan.
No kidding.
Perfectly blunt. I watched some here and there,
No,
but
you didn't.
before I met Bob, my husband, I
Never
saw... That's true. You still haven't met him, even though you've been shacking out here for a while.
Well, that's because you make me live in the garage, but that's another story.
Nuh-uh, you live in there.
Now, you made me live in the garage a while
Don't
back.
listen to him. So anyway, my husband, Bob, huge horror movie fan. I was just like, yeah, no, not into him. So,
You're not into Bob.
not into
Oh, you said you're not into
I
him.
know. I think I meant.
Okay.
But, just was not a big horror movie fan. Well, that kind of changed a lot over the 18 plus years we've been together.
Wow, that's a lot.
Yeah. So, this is actually a movie I do like a lot. It's a movie that has a lot of rewatch value, replay value, whatever you want to talk it to see. It's one. If there's nothing going on, I don't mind putting it on and just watching it.
It's kind of slow and boring, I guess people would say, but I like it.
And I think that's what it was like initially when Bob tried to get me to watch this movie. It's an older movie. It's in black and white.
That's cool.
I was kind of bored with it. Yeah, I was kind of bored with it. So it took me a couple times to get it through it fully. And now
You should have watched it on videotape.
Yeah, that would probably been even worse.
Yep.
I don't know. Did we? I might have watched. He might have tried to get me to watch it on videotape, VHS. Now that I'm thinking about it initially.
I saw it on videotape.
So, anyways, the movie we are talking about is George A. Romero's Nights of the Living Dead. This one we have. This copy here is the 40th anniversary edition.
No, it isn't. It's 50th.
Oh, 50th. Sorry. So, I'll show you the back here a little bit. The other big thing with this movie is it was filmed. I'm saying locally, but I'm using that term loosely.
Yep.
Some of the areas it was filmed in are not too far from where I live.
Nope.
So it's really, really cool knowing, oh, wow, this movie was filmed around here, and I could go see some of the areas it was filmed in. I mean, there is a rumor that the graveyard scene at the beginning, and there might be some spoilers. I'm going to try to remember to say that ahead of time.
Yeah. Forgot.
That the graveyard scene at the beginning of the movie was filmed in Livermore, which actually is not that far from me, but that's not true.
Nope.
It was actually filmed up in Evans City, which is probably an hour or hour and a half north of us, I want to say.
Something like that.
Something like that. I don't know. Do you want to GPS it?
No, they can if they're curious.
Yeah, so it was actually filmed in Evans City, which I think it's like it's north of where I reside. Because actually recently somebody restored the one mausoleum that's in the movie.
Was it a mausoleum? I thought it was a church.
No, I thought it was a mausoleum.
Okay.
Anyways, they restored one of the buildings you do see in here.
Something like that.
And kind of made it like a tribute to the movie, I believe. Like he was trying to make it kind of like a museum type deal.
As they should.
So, like I said, that was another thing that makes it really cool with this movie. So anyways.
It needs to be seen by all.
Yes, it does. And the other thing is, this movie is public domain.
Yeah, that's what makes it kind of sad.
It makes it kind of sad, but at the same time, you can find it on YouTube and watch it for free.
But I'd rather watch it on the Blu-ray.
Yeah. So I'm just saying,
Because
if you're...
I love the movie.
So I'm saying, if like you haven't seen it, want to see it, but you're like, oh, I don't want to rent it, don't want to do Amazon Prime and rent it or anything, look for it on YouTube.
Yeah, that's about 50 of them on.
I was going to say, but watch that you don't get the colorized version. Because they did colorize it at one point. Not that I've seen that the whole way through, but it looks kind of weird. But also, too, this is the first in the original Dead trilogy by George Romero.
Trilogy? That's only 3.
Yeah, I said original. Because if you think of the original, you have Night of the Living Dead, Dawn of the Dead, and Day of the Dead.
Yeah, but there's more.
And, with it, what was it, around 2000, they did Land of the Dead.
That was like in 2006.
Yeah, I said in the 2000s. I couldn't remember. Which actually, it wasn't filmed near me, but they make a lot of references to stuff going on in the area. But that's another movie for another time. We're talking about Night of the
Yeah, I
Living
think it was filmed where Friday the 13th Part 8 was. Jason Takes Vancouver.
But they do a lot of references to the Pittsburgh area, so that's why I like watching Land of the Dead.
Yeah, I think they show a picture and that's it.
Yeah,
we can show a picture of Pittsburgh and say, "Hey, we're in
the
Pittsburgh."
point.
Woo.
But anyways, that's another movie for another time.
All right, moving on.
Yeah, so we're going to the original black and white Night of the Living Dead.
And here we go, finally.
And I think part of what makes this movie great is some parts, to me, harken back to like the silent movie era and using
silent movie area.
Yeah, I can't talk tonight.
I'm sorry, you're funny. Okay.
The silent movie era.
Very good.
Where the actors are using like facial and body expression and music to portray what's going on. And I'll go into that a little bit more as we go.
That's cool.
So anyways, cut to the beginning of the movie. There's this car going up this gravel roadway. And the music's playing like dun dun dun. It's like simple opening credits.
Stock music, I think.
Yeah, probably pretty much. But it's music that's used throughout it to portray like, oh boy, something's going to happen here. I want to move my mouse and I'll bump this to stop.
Yeah, I have to shake my place because I don't want to hurl all over.
Yeah, I have to adjust my chair.
So I'm going to go.
So it comes up on two characters coming up in the car to the cemetery. Barbara, who's one of our main female characters.
Well, not really, but I guess she is.
Yeah, well, it's kind of here and there, like certain parts, I guess. And her brother, Johnny. So
he's funny.
And they're talking, and he's asking for candy, and she's like, oh, and then he's like, they're saying about the first day of summer should be like the day the time changes or something because it's already light, and he's grumbling about having to drive in from Pittsburgh to the cemetery to leave.
Well, if he was in Pittsburgh driving there, it shouldn't have been 3 hours, like he said.
Yeah, this is true.
I don't know where they're from. If it took 3 hours.
I don't know, because he says about being, driving in from Pittsburgh.
Maybe he's a really slow driver.
Well, he's got those
3 hours.
They've got those fancy driving gloves on it too.
Oh, that's awesome. That's like
great style back then.
You should get a pair of them.
They go, and he's like grumbling about this, and he's like, "We either have to move Mom out here or move their father's
Foster.
I said Foster. She goofed me up.
Sorry.
Move their father closer to the city, and she's like, "Oh, Mom can't handle that, yada yada." And he goes, "Yeah, well, I don't remember, but she wants us to remember, so we drive out and put this stupid thing on this grave, basically, memorial."
All right.
So they get out of the car and they're, moseying, trying to find, their father's grave.
They find it,
and Johnny's like teasing Barbara and everything.
It's funny.
Like they find it, and she was like praying. And he's like, "Come on, praying is for church or something." Like
he says, "Church is this morning."
Yeah, I was going to say something along that lines, and then she gets up, and he was saying something. Remember when we were younger, and I did something, and he's going on to he basically was tormenting her and scaring her.
He was just being funny.
And he goes, "Remember, you used to be really scared of this," and she's like, "Johnny," and I'll tell you what, Barbara is flipping annoying in this one. Drives me nuts.
Yeah, that's the downfall. She is annoying.
Nuts.
But at least
love the movie, but that character drives me nuts.
But maybe that's why she shuts up.
So
she has no choice.
She's just kind of being all like, "Johnny, don't do this." And he's like, "You're still afraid." Blah, 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 blah. And he's like tormenting her. But then basically, brother sister stuff. You guys know what I'm talking about. I have a younger brother who tormented me. But anyway, so he was saying about "they're coming to get you, Barbara," which I think everybody should know that line from this movie. And then all of a sudden there's this random dude walking.
Yeah, Bill Heinzman shows up. He's just hanging out there. Yeah,
he's just walking through, and Johnny's like, "Look, there's one now. He wants you." And she's like, "Shut up." So he goes, "I'm getting out of here." And he starts walking away and leaving her. Well, this guy is getting closer. So Barbara's,
Bill walks up to her and he's like, "Hey, what's up?"
Not quite. So she tries to walk past this random guy in the cemetery, and he starts attacking her. And she's like screaming, and Johnny comes over, starts tasseling with the guy. All of a sudden, the other guy takes Johnny's head and smashes it off a tombstone. No more Johnny. So...
and then she goes, "Oh!"
So she goes and takes off, loses her shoes, I think, gets back in the car, can't find the keys. the guy who we now know is a zombie, basically, even though that's not what they're called in the movie,
Night of the Flesh Eaters.
is like coming after her, trying to get her. Well, she eventually takes the emergency brake off. The car goes rolling and hits a tree. So the zombie guy's coming after her. So Barbara gets out of the car, takes off running.
You want to know a fun fact?
Tell me.
That car that she ran into the side of the tree, they did that because that car actually got in an accident the day before they were filming. So they added that in there. So that kind of, you understand
See,
what I mean?
this is what we're talking about. Stuff that isn't planned.
Pretty
that
sure
comes
that's
up.
what happened. I heard that.
Yeah.
The car got into an accident, so they just
I can
put
believe
that in
it.
there.
So Barbara runs, and eventually finds this farmhouse out in the middle of nowhere. So she goes in the house looking for help. And this is the part I'm talking about, kind of harkens back to the silent movie era.
Yeah, there's nothing but creepy music.
Yeah, like she's
It's
like looking around the
true.
house and like just the reactions, finding things. She finds a dead body upstairs with the face torn off. And then she
That
looks
part's cool.
and then she looks out the window and sees the guy coming, and she's like all panic. And it's like it's all done just with music, their body language, their reactions, and it's like with the music, it like just kind of swells like, oh my God, this is something major going on here.
Just watch that without music.
Yeah, it wouldn't be as
Nah.
much. The music in that part definitely adds to it. So she's trying to look around, you know, and then she eventually gets scared and tries to run back outside. And
That's when the man shows up.
we have our second main character show up, Ben.
He's cool.
A very cool guy. I actually like this character a lot.
He's smart. For the most part.
He kind of comes in, she's trying to run out. He takes her back in the house, and she's like panicking, and he's like, do you live here? Do you this? Do you that? And she's all like, she's just like she basically, in my view, has a breakdown. I mean, she just cannot comprehend what's going on. She saw her brother basically get killed. This guy, for some reason, is chasing her and everything. So, like, Ben sits her down on the couch,
The
and
man saves her.
and it's just trying to figure out what's going on. Eventually, the zombies start destroying the lights on the cars. Like, a couple more start showing up, and they destroy the lights on the car. So he goes out and takes care of things. Well, then one wanders into the house and almost gets Barbara, but he comes back in, gets her out of the way, and takes care of them.
John Russo.
And
right?
Oh, I don't know.
That one was John Russo.
That was the big thing with this. A lot of the characters
How did you
and
do this?
I know some of it.
Well, that's John Russo.
I don't know like all that stuff. I couldn't name a actor name or anything. The big thing is with this movie, a lot of people did extra roles.
Everybody did.
Yeah, like if you were on like this crew, you might play a zombie in the background. Some of the main actors played zombies in different parts of the movie. I mean, that kind of tells you what a limited budget this was made on.
They lived in the house too.
Yeah, I do remember hearing that. They also stayed in the farmhouse that they were filming in, which is no longer around. I think I heard it burnt down.
No, they tore it.
Oh, they tore it down. Okay, I
It
knew.
was supposed to be torn down. That's why they filmed it there, knowing it was going to be torn down, so they could kind of do whatever they wanted.
Right. So
That's
I
what
just
I
knew the house is no longer standing.
No.
So, like I said, this other zombie comes in, Ben takes care of him, and Barbara's just kind of staring like, what is going on? And Ben's like, don't look at him. He takes him outside. I think, doesn't he set the body on fire when he puts it out there? Because the zombies are afraid of fire.
They're afraid of fire. I found that out.
Yeah. So, he's saying about, you know, you don't live here, what's going on, you know, and he says about boarding up the place. So he's like, go get some wood, go get this. Well,
She gets a little stick.
so she gets little sticks in that from the fireplace that aren't going to do anything.
Totally, absolutely.
And I think at one point, around this time, she was like, what's happening? What's happening? And he's trying to get her to calm down so he could save their behinds and try to keep them safe.
He should have kicked her out.
So she goes off, and he's, you know, putting stuff up, you know, wood up to block the windows and everything to try to keep them from coming in. Trying to think what happens after that. She basically at one point starts kind of like flipping out to the point because she's saying about they have to go get Johnny. And she's like, he's out there all alone. And Ben looks at her and goes, Johnny is dead. And she's like, no, it's not. And then he tries to stop her, and she slaps him, and he kind of slugs her and knocks her out.
Yeah, I cheer whenever he does that.
Yeah, and I mean, it's kind of
yeah.
the time this movie was made, that was a big
He's like,
shock
"Shut
value.
Shut up.
So he
Sit
kind of,
there,
he's
lay
very
there, shut up.
remorseful about it, though, because after he does it, he's like, oh, man, what did I do? But it also
well.
kind of gets her out of the way. So she's kind of
Yep.
knocked out. He finishes boarding up. Then he's looking in the closet, finds a pair of shoes for her. He finds a gun, bullets, and all that. And she's like coming through, and he's like, but she's like almost like in a, I want to say like a catatonic, I don't want to say comatose, but she's just very,
Well, at least she keeps her mouth shut and stays
yeah,
out of the way.
she's just
That's
kind
what's
of
important.
very blank look, not
Yeah.
sure what's going
It's like,
on.
if you're not going to help,
And Ben's
no,
like talking
stay
to
out of the way.
her and like putting the shoes on. He's like, I think we're going to be okay, da da da. And he goes, well, I'm going to run upstairs. If anything tries to break in, I'll hear it. I'll come back down.
And
So
he does.
he goes upstairs, sees the dead body that's upstairs as well. And all of a sudden, these people come out of nowhere.
No, they don't come out of nowhere.
Well, they come up from the basement. But at
Basement is
first,
not out of nowhere.
well, you kind of don't know because they kind of just show up and Barbara starts screaming. So Ben runs downstairs and
Save me.
this is where Mr. Cooper and Tommy? Yeah, Tommy come up. Doesn't Ben punch Mr. Cooper, if I remember correctly, or push him out of the way or
Later
something? No, I meant at that point, like,
No.
okay,
I don't
well,
remember that.
let's put it this way. This is the beginning of the conflict with Ben and Mr. Cooper.
Mr. Cooper's cool, though.
I
You
don't
gotta like him.
I don't like Mr. Cooper.
Well, Mr. Cooper was
So
right.
they're like, okay, you heard all this noise. Ben gets upset, like, you guys were locked in the basement. You didn't come up to help. And meanwhile, yelling up from the basement is Mrs. Cooper, Helen, Judy, Tommy's girlfriend, and their daughter, Karen, not the Cooper's daughter, Karen, down in the basement. And Helen's yelling up, like, what's going on? And they're like, there's more people, just be quiet. Mr. Cooper's a real jerk at this point.
I don't remember that.
Well, he yells at Helen to quit yelling because he can't concentrate.
What?
Yeah, because she's yelling up about what's going on and everything. And
Yeah.
yeah,
Wait a minute. Okay, all right. I don't remember that. I confused.
I might be confusing it with the remake.
What? Yeah, I remember that in a remake. I don't remember there is Mr. Cooper's wife doesn't show up until he goes back down in the basement.
Oh, see, I might be
And she's like,
confusing
I
it.
thought we heard screaming.
Yeah,
And
well,
she says, well,
anyways,
there's a radio up there. And
Ben
I'm like,
gets up.
what?
Ben gets upset because they're like, well, you're down in the basement. I could have used help. And Tommy and Mr. Cooper are saying conflicting things, which upsets Ben even more.
Yeah.
And Mr. Cooper's like, we need to get in the basement. The basement's the safest place. And Ben's like, no, that's a death trap. We need to leave it open as a last resort.
That's about 10 minutes of movie right there.
Yeah, so they're arguing back and forth. Well, eventually, Tommy brings Judy up from downstairs. And, there's radio reports going on at this point, too, kind of talking about what's going on.
Actually, he turned the radio on after he punched her.
Oh, did he? I don't remember. I don't
You're
remember
not
the
good
part.
at explaining
Yeah,
this.
I'll watch the movie. How about that?
If you watch the movie real close, keep an eye out for the boom mic shadows. No,
Limited
seriously.
budget. Yeah, I know. I remember. So anyways, Judy and Tommy decide to stay down upstairs. Mr. Cooper locks the basement, goes back downstairs. Him and his wife kind of get into it because he's like, well, they're going to come begging for me and I have to be right.
That sounds like you.
Don't
Have to be
like
right all the
Mr.
time.
Cooper.
Don't like anybody. I think you don't like him because he reminds himself of you.
No, he's a jerk.
Okay, I'm not going to comment on that. Okay.
So anyways, he was saying something about the radio and Helen gets mad and is like, radio, why are you locking this down here when there's a radio upstairs and we need to get
I know
help
what
for
I'm doing.
Karen?
And
And
he
then
does.
eventually he unlocks the basement. Judy goes down and sit with Karen so the Coopers can go upstairs. So they're kind of listening to the radio reports and everything and discussing about like keeping the place like boarded up and everything. So they kind of start talking too about what the game plan's going to be. Because they were saying, like, Ben came in this truck. He was almost out of gas. He saw the gas pumps out back. So they were trying to find a key and everything else. And then what they say about, I'm sorry, a stink bug just flew by. Anyways, they're talking about, if there's kerosene to make, like, Molotov cocktails to throw from,
cocktails.
yeah,
Throw it from the window.
throw from upstairs and everything. So they come up with this big game plan, and it's Ben and Tommy that are going to go try to get the gas from the car.
Big mistake.
So they're like, okay, cool. The men are going to go take care of it. Because Judy was trying to talk Tommy out of going. He's like, why do you have to go? And he's like, well, Ben doesn't know how to control the car.
And he doesn't either.
This is true. So anyways, they get the game plan. Mr. Cooper goes upstairs, throws the cocktails from the window to get the fire going to scare the zombies back. And
Catches one
and he
on
has to
fire.
come running down to lock the door after Ben and Tommy go out. So Ben and Tommy go out the store. Mr. Cooper comes down and Judy's like, I'm going with him. And she runs out the door and Mr. Cooper closes the door and they're all staring like, what are you doing, girl?
That was stupid.
They're like,
He should have known
what
the
are
place
you
and
doing?
stayed in the house.
So Ben's like, get in the truck. Get in there. So Ben has he made a fire on a stick. I can't even think of he takes a table.
Torch.
Yeah, that thing.
Fire on a stick.
Yeah, fire on a stick. That's a new thing.
That was stupid.
That's just my mind tonight.
No, it was stupid to take a fire on a stick if you're going to go to a gas
Well,
pump.
they were trying to use it to keep the zombies off.
Well, they should have ditched it like halfway there because,
Yeah, so anyways,
use the gun and get rid of the torch.
Tommy's driving, Judy's in the front,
place.
Ben hops in the bed of the truck. They get out to the gas pump. And they had found a key, but it wasn't the key.
Key don't work.
The key don't work. So they're like, oh, great. What are we going to do now?
Boom.
So Ben tries to shoot the lock out.
He does. He don't try. He does.
Yeah, well, he does. Not a good idea.
Yeah, it was.
Oh, no, because the gas comes pouring out afterwards. I'm sorry. So it was okay.
Tom that had the gas.
So anyways,
sheesh.
they shoot the lock off. Tommy grabs the pump off, the nozzle, and I think he's holding it, and all of a sudden all this gas starts spraying all over the place.
Yep.
And Ben's like, watch the torch, and he moves it out of the way. Well, here, fire connects, gets on the truck.
They should have ditched the torch.
And Tommy's like, we got to get the truck away from here, and he gets in the truck, and Judy's in there, and they go driving away, and Ben's like, what the hell are you doing?
I just ran away.
What are you doing? So he tries to get the truck far enough away. And he goes, okay, we need to get out of the truck. And he gets out of the truck and Judy's trying to get out. Then this line, I think, is added in because you don't see her mouth moving.
Nope.
She goes, my jacket's stuck, but you don't see her lips moving.
She said my jacket's caught.
Oh, caught.
Yeah.
She can't get out. So
And she ruined it.
Guess what happens?
They both went boom, boom.
Pretty much. We've lost Tommy and Judy now. And Ben's kind of standing there like by the pump like, okay, I'm screwed.
Oh, well, two less people to worry about.
He gets back to the house. Well,
Cooper locks him out.
Cooper locks him out, won't let him in. He fights his way in.
Gets in, boards the door up, beats the crap out of Cooper.
Basically, and he's like that, saying about the door staying open and everything else. And so we have, we're down to pretty much 4 main characters, give or take, with Barbara, Ben, Mr. Cooper,
5.
Helen. Well, I said the 4 main ones.
Oh, who are the main?
The daughter.
Yeah, she's a main.
She's down in the basement. You don't really see her.
Oh, when you say main character, well, there's only
I think of the ones that you see most often. Like
you see her, she's laying there doing nothing.
You see the other ones more.
Okay.
So, anyways, they're kind of discussing that there's another news broadcast that's supposed to come at 3:00, and Barbara's kind of a little more coherent at this point because she's like, "Oh, 3:00, we'll be leaving soon," or something, something along that lines. Meanwhile, right now they don't have transportation. So Ben kind of asked Helen Cooper. She's like basically, how did they end up at the farmhouse? And she was like, oh, we got surrounded by those people. Not that they're calling them zombies. They're basically calling them ghouls, is what they're calling them, right?
Kill the brain and you kill the ghoul.
So they're technically calling them ghouls in this movie.
Well, the movie was originally called Night of the Flesh Eaters.
Oh, okay. I didn't know that. I'll give Bluto a point for that.
Okay.
So they're kind of discussing, and they're saying, they got surrounded. One of them bit Karen on the arm, and they flipped their car over. And Ben was like, oh, and he makes a face, and she's like, well, and she goes, God only knows what those things are carrying, what disease, kind of freaking her out, basically, because it's like, okay, she got bit by one of these things, what's going to happen? Well, you know what happens. But anyways, he's like, well, how far was the way? And she goes, oh, it seemed like we ran and ran, and Mr. Cooper's like, it's at least a mile. And he goes, and how are you going to turn the car over? And he goes, well, Ben was thinking a couple of them could go and try to turn
it over by yourself.
So then Barbara kept going on is about Johnny has the keys going on about her vehicle. And Ben goes, do you have a car? And she's kind of incoherent, and she's like, you won't be able to start it or something. I always say the line wrong. And he was just trying to figure out if this car was close enough. So,
Get out, Wyatt.
I don't know if that's what they were thinking of doing or not. But anyways,
No.
at this time, the power goes out. Am I right?
Yeah, they do another news thing, but then
No,
the power
yeah.
goes out.
But the power goes out. So they're all kind of like, oh, crap, what's going on now? So chaos kind of breaks out at this point.
Cooper wants to get the gun.
Cooper wants to get the gun that Ben
He goes
has.
in the basement looking for the fuse box.
Yeah. So basically, he goes down before Helen, right? Mr. Cooper? He gets shot and goes down the steps.
The zombies start getting in the place.
Yeah, they start.
In place.
So they start
Johnny
getting in.
pulls Barbara outside.
Well, wait, we're not that far.
Okay. All right,
So, anyways, Cooper and Ben are fighting. Cooper gets shot, falls down the basement steps. Meanwhile, at this point, somebody is not on the table anymore. Karen. She has turned into a zombie.
She's on the table. Remember, he walks over to her.
Oh, okay. That's right.
He goes like,
yeah, that's right. I'm thinking later. Okay, so
he goes like that.
Yeah. So, anyways, Karen's still on the table. He kind of crawls over and he dies, basically.
He falls on the ground.
So, at this point, the zombies are breaking in. One of them has a hold of Helen Cooper, and like she's trying to get away to get to the basement, and it has like a stranglehold. And all of a sudden, Barbara's like, "Oh my God, I gotta help."
The one thing she does, and then oops.
So she goes over and she's trying to help
That's funny.
Helen Cooper, and the board comes down, and all of a sudden, Johnny is at the window.
And he got his gloves on still.
He still has his driver gloves on.
That's so funny.
But he ends up reaching, like she kind of like freezes and freaks out, and he grabs her, takes her outside, and
that's funny.
That's the end of Barbara, unfortunately.
Bye, Barbara. Bye.
So, at this point, I think Ben's shooting. Helen Cooper goes down to the basement, finds Karen eating Mr. Cooper. Eating his hand, like she took his hand off and was eating it, right?
He bit his arm off.
Yeah.
Like that.
Well, anyway, she sees fresh meat, so to speak, with Mom being down there. So, Helen's like, oh my God, my poor baby. Da, da, da. And she's like backing off and she falls on the floor, and Karen grabs, I want to say it's some sort of shovel that's really pointed. I think it's something that's meant, yeah, like if you're doing bricklaying work. I don't know the technical term.
I don't either.
And basically stabs Mom and kills Mom. Meanwhile, I
like the noise effects.
Oh. So anyways, but I thought Helen probably could have got away, but I think she was just frozen and scared and upset.
Frozen in fear.
Yeah, so
it's funny.
Ben's like, okay, I got to get my butt to the basement. So he gets over to the basement door, and all of a sudden, Karen's there. You're like, oh God, is Ben going to kill her? And he just kind of looks at her like, you little brat, picks her up, throws her on the couch.
Wait.
What?
Hold up. What are you talking about? She goes up the steps and tries to bite him, and he leaves her up there.
Yeah, well, that's what I said. He turns around and she's there, but she does try to...
you said he went down to the basement.
He's trying to get down to the basement.
Oh, okay. Sorry,
and she comes up, grabs his arm, and tries to bite him, and he's like, what are you doing, you little brat? Picks her up and like throws her on the couch.
Yeah, okay.
Then closes the door and barricades himself in, and the zombies are scraping at the door.
He ended up in the basement.
So he's in the basement after all this. Wow. So he goes down the steps and sees that Mr. Cooper and Mrs. Cooper are both dead.
Mrs. Cooper is covered in chocolate sauce.
So at this point, Mr. Cooper starts to rise from the dead as a flesh eater, zombie, ghoul, whatever you want to call him. So Ben shoots him in the head because that's what the radio said to do. Mrs. Cooper doesn't rise. I thought he just went over and shot her. Yeah. Yeah, she
opens her eyes.
That's right.
Slowly rises up, then you just see him go out with the gun.
Yeah, I forgot. So Ben just kind of hangs out in the basement for the night.
Good plan. Should have did that a few hours ago.
Yeah. So it goes to morning. There's police and other people and a news reporter talking to one of the policemen, and they're discussing about it looks like they're containing it. There's a couple spots they're going to go explore.
Bill Cordell.
Yeah. Jilly Billy, who passed away a couple years ago. Very well known in this area as well. So they're kind of like, okay, yeah, we're going to, and then they're talking, And they're like, well, there's a farmhouse I want to check out, so grab a couple guys and we're going to go. And the news reporters like, we're going to follow this through and everything because the military was coming in. So as they're going to the farmhouse, they're taking out the zombies that they're coming across, you know, just shooting them, taking them out. Ben hears dogs. So he comes up from the basement steps and is like, oh, good, yay, I'm going to be saved. So they're shooting the zombies. And the one head guy's like, build a fire pit. We need to burn these bodies, da, da, da. And he's standing by one guy and he goes, what's wrong? And this other guy goes, I see something moving in the house. And
he goes, there's something in there. I heard a noise.
Yeah. And Ben's looking out the window and,
died. Shoot him in the head.
Yeah, that's exactly what happens. And Ben dies.
Okay, he's dead. Let's go get him. That's another
so it kind of
fire.
That when I saw this kind of really upset me because I'm thinking that would be my luck. I would survive all this.
Well, he should have made some noise like, "Hey,
yeah,
live person in here."
Well, I think he didn't know if it was more the zombies or what was going on.
Zombies don't walk around with dogs and shoot guns.
Well, maybe he didn't know that.
Okay.
So. And then the end's kind of a lot of still shots with them showing like the zombies being gathered up. You actually see Ben on the fire pit
with the first zombie,
and so yeah, that's kind of how it ends, which is kind of sad because
then they show the stuff on fire.
Yeah, none of the characters made it, but it's a great movie.
5 stars.
Very great movie. So, like
watch
I said, if it's like I said, you can watch it on YouTube. Not have to pay for it if you have not seen it. Just make sure you're watching a good viewing of it that's not all blurry and messed up and it's not colorized.
Yeah, colorized is stupid.
Yeah, like I said, I've only seen bits and pieces of it, but that is it as far as I'm concerned.
Sounds good to me.
So George A. Romero's Night of the Living Dead.
Great, good movie.
Good movie. Like I said, even though it took me a couple times to get fully through it, but
I saw it when I was a little itty bitty monster.
So, and like I said, Bob always said though too, like this was the first horror movie he watched because it's not really bloody and it's not. There's some violence, but it's not.
It's cool violence.
It's not as bad as a lot of stuff that's out today. So he said, him and his dad had watched it when he was younger. So, and I have to agree with that. I mean, if you're trying to think of a movie maybe to introduce,
yeah, if you have like a 5-year-old out there, let them watch it. It's cool.
I don't think I would go that young.
Well, I was not that young, but I was about, how old was I when I thought I was a little monster?
I don't know. I would say like 8, 9, 10 probably wouldn't be too bad. But like I said, that's just my opinion. If you haven't seen it, maybe watch it beforehand. But that is going to be it for Night of the Living Dead. Please remember to like, comment, subscribe, hit the bell icon so you know when I post new content. Share my page if you feel like it. And then come back for more reviews.
And if you don't feel like it, share it anyhow.
That's what Bluto says.
Yep.
So, Bluto and I will see you in the next review. Bye. Bye.